Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I thank you for tuning in as always. Now, we can crown a new champion in the NBA, of course being the Oklahoma City Thunder, and unfortunately this is kind of bittersweet for a lot of NBA fans because Tyrese Halliburton tore his Achilles tendon with, I think, 7 minutes into the first quarter, if I'm remembering correctly. It may have been earlier than that, but yeah, it's really a shame that it had to end that way, and especially because it really looked like Tyrese Halliburton was about to have one of the best games of his life, so you feel terrible for him. Before today, I probably would have said that the Pacers are the team to beat in the East next year with the uncertainty in Cleveland, the uncertainty with the Celtics. I don't really believe in the Knicks too much. But now, with Tyrese Halliburton likely missing most, if not all, of next season, I don't know what we're going to see from the Pacers. I thought as well that the Pacers were really set up for success. Most of their core is signed for the next couple years, so I was really, really excited to see what their future held, and now we don't know. The draft comes up on Wednesday. I'm not entirely sure if the Pacers now pivot and try to build something. There's a lot of question marks. OKC, on the other hand, they're good, right? Next year, they don't really have a lot to worry about. I do think they'll trade Lou Dort. I think if they're going to make any moves with players they currently have, I think Lou Dort is the guy that gets moved. I think they're preparing to live in a world without Lou Dort. He's not a free agent until 2027, but just to clear the cap space preemptively so that they can sign Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams going forward. I think that's the move that makes the most sense to me. I don't know where Lou Dort would go. Of course, the two big trades that we've seen so far, Kevin Durant to the Rockets and Desmond Bane to Orlando. I'm not really sure what the market is for Lou Dort. I think they could definitely get a pick or two. But that's where I am with both of these teams going into the offseason. And as you can see here from just these averages, this was a really close series, and I think a lot of people missed out if they didn't watch it. This was a very, very competitive series. There was a point here in Game 4 that the Pacers had a serious opportunity to go up 3-1. They did end up falling short. Some, I think, mismanagement there by the Indiana coach. It felt to me like they were a little unprepared for that, and they definitely did struggle. And I think Game 4 is the game they're going to look back on. Yes, Game 7 sucks, right? Like, it hurts to lose Tyrese Halliburton, and even without Halliburton, they were keeping it close for a good chunk of the game, and then in the third quarter, things started to fall apart. But I think this Game 4 is really the game that they're going to look back on, and I think this is the game that's really going to haunt them because, again, they seriously did have a chance to take the series 3-1, and unfortunately, they just couldn't do it. So I feel like this Pacers team is kind of going to be forgotten by a lot of more casual fans, and I think that's kind of a shame because this was a really good team. Like, I didn't watch them too much in the regular season, and even into the playoffs I wasn't really paying attention, but having watched all 7 of these games, I mean, my God, right? Like, this was a special team, and we don't know what it's going to look like going forward. They've got a few young guys, Nemhard and I don't know how old Neesmith is. Benedict Mathurin is on the younger side, but he's also up for an extension. So they've got some young pieces, and I think there's definitely something really cool being built there in Indy. But again, without Halliburton next year, what do we really expect to see from them? I don't know. But again, the Thunder, all credit to them, right? They played very well. They played well enough to win, obviously. I feel like the Thunder are a team that made way fewer mistakes, because it felt like at times the Pacers definitely showed the potential to beat OKC, and then it'd be a turnover here or a missed layup here, and the margin for error just started piling up, right? I think a lot of people expect sports teams especially to be perfect when they're in these scenarios, and I just think that's a flawed understanding of how this works. And I think realistically that if you're in these sort of games, what you really want to look for is where your margin is for what mistakes can you get away with. And obviously in the finals, that's a very, very thin margin. And I think, especially in Game 7, in that third quarter specifically, they really used up that margin. The Pacers did, and it sucks, right? It sucks to see a team lose their star player and fight as hard as they do and come up short. But we'll see going forward what they do. And some highlights on the Thunder side: Jalen Williams, to me, was a serious standout in this series. I think it was some of the best basketball I've ever seen him play, and I'm not normally a huge believer in his game. I think he can be kind of streaky at times, but I mean, my God, he really stepped up. SGA, of course, winning Finals MVP. You can see down here he led in scoring, 30 points per game, 40 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game. I don't think he led either of these two categories, but scoring definitely. In fact, we can go here and check this out. Let's see here. This is shot comparison. Here we go. So, who led the team in assists? Okay, it was SGA, and rebounds was Chet Holmgren. So, SGA, points and assists, good for him. And then Pascal Siakam, I think, was points and assists for the... no, it was Tyrese Halliburton. Okay. So Tyrese Halliburton and TJ McConnell, and then rebounds was Pascal Siakam. And rebounding, I think, was definitely a weak point for the Pacers in this series. I feel like they could have been more aggressive. I mean, I understand they don't match up as well size-wise, but at the same time, I feel like they could have put a little more effort into it in that regard. But it is what it is. When I look at this roster here for the Indiana Pacers, I'm not entirely sure what they do without Tyrese Halliburton. Right, like Neesmith, Mathurin, and Nembhard, I think, are probably untouchable. Obi Toppin, I think, was kind of a letdown a good majority of these games. Pascal Siakam played very, very well, but he's getting, up there in age. I think he's 33, 34, something like that. Well, actually, we can check, I think. 1994, what is that? I don't even feel like doing the math. 31. It's 31. But yeah, he's not as old as I thought, so that's probably less of a concern that I made it out to be. But again, I'm not entirely sure what they do here. I can't think of like any free agent options that they would go for, especially with no Tyrese. And then the OKC Thunder, like I said, I think Lou Dort is the odd man out. Only 26, but yeah, I think Lou Dort just makes too much sense to move off of, especially after this playoff series. You know, if he wins a ring, you can sell him for a higher price because you win a ring. And I think Cason Wallace is the guy that they want to have come in and really take his minutes. But we'll see. Yeah, like most of these guys here, like SGA, Jalen Williams, Hartstein, Caruso, whereas Holmgren as well. These guys are all going to be here next year. They don't really have anything to worry about until next offseason, the 2026 offseason. That's when they have to extend Williams and Holmgren, and if they keep playing the way that they have, that's going to get really expensive really quickly. So I think we're going to see the Thunder be a more active team going forward than I think a lot of people are expecting. Just because I really do think that Presti is a guy that wants to be preventative in avoiding a lot of the new CBA restrictions with the second apron and stuff. He really strikes me as a guy that's going to be very active in that regard to sort of set the precedent for a new vision of roster construction, right? Like, the way I see it happening, right? And, you know, I don't know for sure because I don't work in the NBA, but the way I see it happening is you have your core guys, you know, 2, 3, 4 guys that you keep, that you pay the big money, and then the rest of the roster, right, 5 through 8, 5 through 10, whatever you want it to be, that's where you get guys in on shorter term deals, potentially on cheaper deals as well, but essentially you bring in guys that you can use to rotate in and out, right? That's the way I see things moving forward with the new CBA, with the second apron. You bring in, you know, some solid rotational players that you can then move while they're still under that contract, right? So I think a lot of the contracts, I think a lot of the construction of new contracts going forward is going to look to make assets more appealing in the trade market, because as it stands right now, as we know, there's not a lot of cap space in the league, but you can make cap space by moving players and fiddling about that way. And I think we're going to see a downturn in the money offered in free agency. I think that's where the price cuts are really going to come in. One guy I do think that the Thunder are possibly going to go for in free agency is SGA's cousin, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think he really does fit what the Thunder like to do, and I think they can get him for a relatively inexpensive deal. So if they do move off of Lou Dort, I think that's a guy they could go and get. If they want to, of course, again, they might just be waiting for Cason Wallace to come in and fill that spot, but as, you know, as another guy that they can bring in and have as that rotational piece that maybe they can also use as trade fodder as well. So that's how I see these new championship teams going forward. I think that's the philosophy that we're going to see in roster construction. So with that in mind, I want to see if we can go and look at let me see if I can find teams. Okay, so let's take a look a little bit at the offseason. We're not going to go too in-depth on it because I don't know basketball as well as I do football, so I don't really know schemes and wants and tendencies yet. I haven't, you know, been involved to that degree, but just looking around the league, looking at teams that I think are going to be active in the next couple days. The Knicks, I think, are probably looking to make a win now move. The Celtics are looking to avoid the second apron. Let's see what we have here. Do we have the roster? Yeah, okay. So, obviously, Jason Tatum tore his Achilles as well, And looking at this roster, I think we're going to see some pretty big changes with the Boston Celtics. And both Shams, Karina, and Brian Windhurst have come out and said this is going to be a very active offseason. And I think it's because of teams like the Celtics, where it's like you look at this and I think Drew Holiday is going to be moved. Of course, he is 35 and his contract's huge. So it's a very unattractive piece, but I think they're going to try and get off of Drew Holiday. I think they're going to try and get off Kristaps Porzingis, which again is not a very good contract. He's not, super old or anything, but his contract is not great considering he took a definitive downswing last year. Derek White could be another guy that they're moving. This is a roster that's going to see some serious changes, I think. Phoenix, of course. Phoenix have moved Kevin Durant for Jalen Green, and this has not been updated yet. But they moved him for Jalen Green, and who was the other guy? Let me check. Where is Houston? Here it is. It was Jalen Green, and no, it wasn't Cam Whitmore. It was Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green. So it's not a huge move, honestly, for them. Like, I don't feel like they gave up too much. Of course, they also gave up number 17 and 5 second-round picks. But who cares about second-round picks? Yeah, they moved, or not. No, they don't have number 17. They have number 10. I think I said 17 just now. I meant number 10. The Rockets traded their first-round pick this year, 5 seconds, Jalen Green, and Dylan Brooks for Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant is now in Houston. But I think Phoenix is a team that probably have another big move up their sleeve. I don't know if it's Bradley Beal, if it's Devin Booker, who it is, but I think, or maybe it's even rerouting Jalen Green somewhere. I think they're still going to look to make a move. The San Antonio Spurs is another team that is rumored to be heavily interested in making some moves at the deadline. I think Chris Paul is on an expiring. I think he's headed for free agency. I don't know for sure. What I read said that they're absolutely not interested in adding Stephen Castle into any deal. So Stephen Castle's untouchable. Victor Wembanyama, of course, is untouchable. The rest of it, I am not entirely sure. But it sounds like San Antonio wants to get out and get in on the action. Minnesota, I think, is going to be very aggressive. I think they're in a win-now mode because I think this is probably the last year that they can get away with Rudy Gobert being on this team. Just because Rudy Gobert is a phenomenal defender, probably one of the best defenders of all time. The problem is, in the modern NBA, you need your center to produce offensively, right? You need a lob threat. You need some form of shooting. You need something out of the center position. You can't just be this wall anymore. So Rudy Gobert, I think, is on his last year in Minnesota. Mike Conley is also really starting his downturn as well. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's a free agent. Where is he? Randall. Where is Randall? He's on here somewhere. I'm sure of it. There he is. Julius Randle has a player option as well, so we'll have to wait and see if he accepts that or not. I think the deadline isn't until after the draft, but I don't know for sure. Naz Reid also has a player option, and I think he's probably gone. I don't think they're going to pay him, so we'll see what happens there. But I think there's going to be some serious movement on the Wolves. The Lakers as well. The Lakers, I think, are going to get very aggressive. Of course, they have LeBron James and Luka Doncic, and they don't really have a huge number of assets to go out and get like a huge piece. But I think if they move Austin Reeves in a pick, I think they can get a center that can work with Luka and can really let them start a run next year. That is, of course, if LeBron James and Luka Doncic come back, because they are also technically not guaranteed to do that. So Lakers, I think, are going to get pretty active. This Golden State Warriors as well. I think Jonathan Kuminga's probably going to get moved. I don't think Podziemski, I don't think he's getting moved. But I think the Warriors are looking at a 2-year window where they go and try to maximize whatever it is they think they can do there. Milwaukee, I think, is a team that's probably in full sell mode. Whether that's Brook Lopez or, Bobby Portis or something. Kyle Kuzma, I guess, could maybe be something. I don't know. I don't quite think Giannis is going to get moved. Unless it's at the deadline this year. I don't think he's going to get moved before the season starts. Of course, Damian Lillard, again, also one of the ones that tore their Achilles in this playoffs. So he's realistically, his career's probably over. He is 34 years old. So again, it's very unfortunate what happened to him, and I don't think his contract is movable. So and the Milwaukee Bucks are a team that really stick out to me as just a complete wild card. The Mavericks, I don't think, are going to be too aggressive. I think they're just going to draft Cooper Flag and figure it out from there. The Pelicans are another wild card that maybe could get interesting. There's rumors on Herbert Jones. There's rumors on CJ McConnell. There's rumors on DeJounte Murray. There's even rumors on Zion, right? Like, there's rumors out there. I think I read something that said pretty much everybody in New Orleans can be grabbed. Trey Murphy is another name that I've heard some rumors around. We'll see. Jose Alvarado, I think, also is a very underrated piece. I think I like Jose Alvarado a lot, so I would love to see him escape the purgatory that is, unfortunately, the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't expect much from the Grizzlies. I don't expect much from the Clippers. I think they're just kind of stuck where they are with Harden and Kawhi. So I think they just kind of have to play that out. The Sixers, I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea if Joel Embiid is even going to be healthy next year. Paul George is I don't know. This is a team that I don't expect anything from. So I don't think they're gonna be moving out. Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain are obviously untouchable, but you got guys on here, right, that are just Kyle Lowry, Paul George, Eric Gordon. Just these old guys that I think this roster's kind of at the peak of what it can do. The Raptors, I don't expect a lot of. I don't really think they have much that they can move around. Maybe Jakob Poeltl, but I don't exactly know why you would do that, but I don't think they would move Grady Dick. I don't think they'd move Scotty Barnes or Emmanuel Quickly. RJ Barrett, maybe. It just feels like he's not really worth much. The Nuggets, I think, could be another team like the Wolves and the Lakers and the Warriors, where it's they're in full win now mode and they really just want to get some of these contracts off their roster and try to maximize whatever's left. So Denver could be a pretty active team. I don't think Oklahoma's going to do much. The Wizards, who knows? I don't think there's much here. Orlando, of course, they already made their big move going for Desmond Bane. Charlotte could be an interesting one. There's been rumors on LaMelo. There's been rumors on Grant Williams. Of course, the trade with... that was Mark Williams. Mark Williams, not Grant Williams. I almost misspoke there. But Mark Williams, the trade for him fell through for the Lakers at the midseason mark. So who knows? Maybe they go and try to get him again. But yeah, there's a lot of questions going into the offseason. And I'm very excited to see what happens over the course of the next 3 days before the draft starts, and maybe I'll make a video about it. So that is my final thoughts on the NBA playoff season. I look forward to making more videos about the offseason in the coming months. And as always, I thank you very much for watching. I hope to speak with you all again soon, and goodbye for now.